newly elected House of Representatives members on the goal lessons for task ahead. Chief of Defense Staff reminds all that there is absolutely no gain in drums of war and war situations, unveils books in countering banditry. And on the program today, we x-ray the achievements and challenges of the media in Nigeria in view of recently celebrated World Press Freedom Day. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Panorama, reaching you live from Benin. I am Agatha Egwari Ojo. And don't forget, you can follow this news live on our social media handles and our channels displayed on your screen. Our second batch of Nigeria evacuees from Sudan are expected to arrive Nigeria this Friday. 3 airlines, Azman Air, Max Air and Taco Aviation, are to airlift the remaining Nigerians in Egyptian border and others from Port of Sudan. From the Aswan border town in Egypt, Azman Air and Max Air will airlift about 700 Nigerians, while almost 300 will be airlifted from Port Sudan in Sudan. A video released by Nigerians in Diaspora Commission shows that a first set of 125 female evacuees had already boarded the Taco airline plane in Port Sudan Friday morning. In the meantime, the ongoing Sudan conflict seems to pose a threat to this year's Hajj. This follows refusal by 4 out of 5 airlines approved by the federal government to sign agreement with the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria over what they described as operating at loss due to closure of Sudan airspace, being Nigeria's shortest route to Saudi Arabia. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports.
The initial atmosphere at the venue of the event was lively, with exchange of banters. However, the mood changed on the agreement table when the 4 indigenous airlines approved for the airlift operations raised the issue of additional cost of rerouting the flight away from Sudan as the airspace has been shut down.
We have planned our agreement prior to the Sudan crisis, and we know that as we speak there is ceasefire in Sudan. For how long that will take place, we don't know.
The Nigerian registered airlines are reluctant to sign the agreement, not because they don't like business, not because they agree. They are trying to be realistic, and we appreciate their position.
In the meantime, a Saudi airline, the only foreign with 40% slot in the exercise, signed the agreement, damning the consequences.
Their position is distinct from the arrangement for the other Nigerian registered airlines. They are not in any way trying to betray their colleagues from Nigeria.
The Commission and the 4 airlines have agreed to meet again next Tuesday for possible resolution of the issue. Airlift of this year's intended pilgrims to Saudi Arabia is expected to begin on the 22nd of this month. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Away from the Sudan crisis, Nigerian aviation industry is receiving a boost as part of deliberate measures to enhance commerce and trade relations. This came to the fore during the inauguration of expansion work at the Umar Musa Yar'Adua Airport, Katsina. Tokbe Alabi reports.
Major collecting points for peanuts or groundnuts and for hikes and skins that are sent to Kano and other areas for exports. Katsina State has been tested to be highly fertile in mass production of cash and food crops, serving as a hub for fostering gainful trade relations among countries. This is challenging government to step in with an investment of 53.7 billion to expand existing facilities at the Umar Musa Yar'Adua International Airport for enhanced trade. The project expected a terminal and cargo within the space of additional security reinforcement strategy would be completed by the incoming government.
We have the funding more than 70%. That is number 1. Number 2, like we said in the case of the fire truck center, all the equipments are being imported. It's only the building. And the money for the building is available, so what will stop it? And by the way, don't forget, It is His Excellency Asuaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is coming as the president. And you know his relationship with the president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. Not kind of man that would abandon something that is beneficial for people. He had done it before. And that said, also government is always a continuous. You know, when we came in, we made so many projects. We wanted to initiate new ones. In fact, this is part of the delay. But the president said, no, go and finish ongoing projects. And I've been finishing and commissioning ongoing projects.
It's one in history, and it will remain indelible in the history of Kaduna State. We thank you very much, and we are proud of you as a son of Kaduna State.
The work hopes to open new vista for improved domestic economic activities and promote foreign ties that will strengthen commitment towards achieving excellence in one of the nation's diplomatic zones. From Katsina, Tokbe Alabi, NTA News.
No fewer than 200 newly elected members of the House of Representatives are participating in the ongoing engagements at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies (NIPS) 4-day retreat organized for newly elected public office holders across all political parties. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has details.
It is day 3 of the 4-day strategic leadership retreat for the newly elected public office holders across all political parties. The first 2 days had featured elected governors and their deputies and members of the Senate. Here, newly elected members of the House of Representatives are interacting and are being exposed to various issues.
Every government should be able to know that every 10 years we are going to conduct census in Nigeria. This is just one out of many other recommendations that we have made.
Empowers the members elect with some of the basic requirements of preparing to take the mantle of leadership and to give our mental mindset on the challenges and responsibilities that is before us. And I know and believe that we've done a lot in terms of the quality of the presentations and the answers to so many questions that were raised.
Very, very particular about making policies and ensuring that they are implemented upon and evaluated upon for the teaming good of all the interest groups that are involved in that policy that we are making. It is not going to be business as usual with this 10th assembly. So this is an expository to what we are expecting, and we are ready.
Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to develop a mechanism to remove deceased and fictitious voters from its register. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that House members believe that this will make election process more credible and transparent.
Referencing observations from the recently conducted general elections, Representative Leki Abejide in a motion noted that names of deceased persons were among those displayed on the list of registered voters.
Even my own deceased father, who passed on long ago, still has his name displayed on the board. Elections can be challenged in court because of these things. Anything that will improve on the electoral process, we should go for that.
The House urged INEC to provide a software that could enable families report the demise of their deceased registered relations to effect delete, and that a process for verification be put in place to fish out multiple registration. The motion from Gaza Jonathan urging authorities to be proactive in curbing the unrest between 3 communities in Kokona, Nasarawa State was adopted,
leading to the torching of 2 villages and the death of over 14 persons. Carry out immediate investigations and bring the attackers to justice.
Other features as plenary include a second reading of 3 bills, among which is the bill seeking powers of enforcement and monitoring to Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
To grant the Commission enforcement powers in the monitoring of accruals and disbursement of revenue from the Federation account, and to bring the Act in conformity with the provisions of the Constitution as amended.
As recommended by the Committees on Finance and Debt, Loans and Aid Management, the House has granted approval to the federal government's request for the restructuring of Ways and Means with an additional 1 trillion naira and securitization of the outstanding 23 trillion naira. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NT News.
This is Panorama. Stay with us for more after this break. Thank you for staying on. The Minister for State Budget and National Planning, Prince Clem Agba, has commended management of Iroa Specialist Teaching Hospital, Edo State, for the prudent management of 950 million naira COVID-19 fund. He said this during a working visit to the health institution. Akim Etayohai completes the report.
The Minister, Prince Clem Agba, was guided on the inspection tour by the representative of the Acting Chief Medical Director of Iroa Specialist Teaching Hospital, Dr. Kule Ubogaye, to inspect the state-of-art medical equipment procured from the 950 million COVID-19 fund in the intensive unit care and the molecular laboratory department of the hospital. Prince Clem Agba expressed satisfaction with the state-of-art medical equipment. He disclosed that Iroa Specialist Teaching Hospital and 12 other teaching hospitals will benefit from 1 billion naira intervention fund in the 2023 budget.
Those who are providing the service also have world-class experience, and some of them are here. So what we are trying to do is to sustain what we have started.
The Minister for State Budget and National Planning area inspected the ongoing 5,000 litres water project in Ido Muagwe Uromi, as well as the flood and erosion control in Idumu Okaibe Ewokimi, Eastern Southeast local government area. The minister and his team have visited the palace of the Onoje of Uromi, His Royal Highness Zaiki Aslim Aidonoje in Uromi. Akim Etayohan, NT News.
The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed May 3rd as International Day for Press Freedom globally to serve as a reminder to governments of the need to respect the commitment made to press freedom. 30 years down the line, media professionals are yet to exhaust the discussion on issues affecting press freedom and professional ethics. Paul Omukago in this report takes a look at the critical role of the media and press freedom in Nigeria.
From the pre-colonial to post-colonial periods, media workers have been targets for the restraint, violence and harassment while performing their duties. However, the impact of fundamental freedoms and respect for human rights as enshrined in the Constitution has gone a long way to assist media professionals in carrying out their duties with less attacks and harassment under the democratic rule.
At the national level, the level of tolerance for press freedom is not as strict as what you find in the state. You see, people often look at the federal government from a bigger picture without looking at what some of the state governors and their men are doing to strangle the press.
The media in Nigeria have shown that power to ensure that proper dissemination of information is done. The people, knowing what is happening, are able to engage and follow through.
The Nigerian media has performed creditably well within the purview of the law regulating media practitioners in Nigeria.
Unfortunately, the global statistics which indicated that only 10% of countries in the world have satisfactory press freedom ranking as against other countries that are still practicing rude methods of censorship, suppression of media, among others, raises some concerns. As media workers continue to serve as watchdog, activists, guidance, as well as educator, an essential pillar to democratic rule, stakeholders have therefore called for more advocacy on how to correct the acts that are resisting the free flow of information for journalists to report accurately matters of public interest without fear or any forms of interference. In the name, Paul Mukago, NT News.
And still on press freedom, and joining us to discuss more on achievements and challenges of the media in Nigeria is lecturer with the Mass Communication Department of the University of Benin, Nuruddin Asunoge. Good afternoon. Welcome to Panorama.
Thank you for having me.
All right. What's your assessment of press freedom in Nigeria?
Well, basically, the very first thing we would need to appreciate is the fact that in any democratic setting, you need the media, you need the press to deepen democracy, because in any dark political landscape, what is fundamental, of course, is that you have to have the press that will serve as an oasis of hope for the generality of the people. And I think that it is in appreciation of this that you find that in section 22 of the Constitution, you have the whole issue of media being referred to as the fourth system of the realm. Whether we have been there is a different issue altogether, because those persons that occupy political authority would want to do all that is within their power to be protective of the things that they do, and so they are usually uncomfortable when people have to do one or two things to expose them. That is a major challenge that we find in the country today.
Okay. Now, like you said earlier, independent media is key to ensuring Nigerians have access to accurate information about government and society. It helps to deepen democracy. Now, do you think press freedom is applicable in Nigeria, considering the circumstances the media operate here?
Well, it will be difficult for you to say that you have that kind of freedom. But again, you want to say that nobody actually gets freedom on a platter of gold. It's a thing you must have to insist that you get. So if you're waiting for government to donate it to you, the same government your activity were exposed, you obviously are dissipating time. That isn't going to happen. So it is for for those who are journalists to appreciate how significant they are and how protected again they are by law. To do what is required. You know, when before now it was the issue of if you said anything that didn't go down well with government, take the Decree 4 of 1984 for example, you said anything that didn't go down well with government, you could be tried for sedition. That no longer existed. They came up with the cyber crime, which is section 24 of the cyber crime, basically was to say if you did anything that left, we are not talking about the veracity of what you have said. For as long as it discomforted anybody in power, you have committed a crime. Beautiful thing is that the ECOWAS court has vacated that and annulled that, so it doesn't exist anymore. So it is for journalists, for as long as the journalist would not luxuriate, as it were, in what you would refer to as wanting to salvage vested and hoggish interests. Once that is not what it is, decorative subterfuge being employed to salvage hoggish and vested interests is obviously good to go. But if you're waiting for government to say, hey, you can have all of this freedom, isn't going to happen. Because we have seen a number of issues where those in the media are being muzzled. You make a statement, for example, you grant interview, for example, the veracity of what is being said is not what is queried. Why did you have to say that, hey, you are fined X amount of money without even the right of fair hearing? Nobody listens to you. The regulating body says you erred. An opportunity is not given for self-defense. An opportunity is not given for your own side of the story to be heard. You just will have to pay the fine. So all of this are intended to guard the press, are intended to circumscribe the space for critical thought and the range for free expression of opinions.
Okay, even as we talk about freedom of expression and the media, many of the opinion that journalists themselves must at all times be of good conduct, you know, and operate within the ambit of the media ethics. Do you also share this view?
Yes, I agree, because whereas it is, you know, if you say in society, for example, he who comes to equity, the same must come with clean hand. If you are, for example, going to talk about corruption in government, there must be no motive. The overall interest that the journalist is the one who feels the pulse of the society, is the voice of the voiceless, so to speak. So it will mean that he's immaculate, he's selfless. There's absolute selflessness. He's doing whatever it is that he does on altruistic ground. Once there are motives, that becomes defeated, because the overall interest, if you are, for example, going to take government to tax, want to make government accountable, is for the overall benefit of the people. And when you are putting information at the doorstep of the people, is to put them in a position where they can take informed decision in their relationship with government. So that places a burden on government, on journalists, to be immaculate in the things that they do. You don't bring selfish interest, like I said. You do not employ decorative subterfuge in order to promote the objectives that are personal to you, that you serve, using the instrumentality of journalism to do that.
Okay, just before we go, what role do you think legislation can play in strengthening media operations in Nigeria?
Well, I think we don't even have problems with the laws as it were. Even what we have presently, I'm sure, are sufficient. It is to get people to respect them. I'll give you one clear example. Where a particular channel was fined 5 million, that fine was done in violation of the extant rule. Take the NBC code, for example. If there was an infraction, someone had complained, for example, that NTA did what NTA ought not to do, it is not the chairman or whatever of NBC to sit down and impose a fine. There is a board, there should be a board. The board sits down and evaluates, public hearing where possible, and you are invited to say, hey, you did this, you explain your own side. It is when what you have given as an explanation is not satisfactory, by majority decision, you are asked to pay a fine. But all of this has been violated. When you again say, oh, we made amendment to the law, you don't make a law, for example, to achieve a particular objective that is selfish. So it is for those who are journalists to find the intrepidity to insist, haven't come clean to equity, to insist that the freedom that they exercise on behalf of the generality of the public is not compromised.
Thank you so much, Malam Nuruddin, for your time on Panorama. Alright, now talking security matters, officers of the Edo State Police Command are undergoing training on weapon handling and effective community policing in line with international standard. Goodluck Inaini reports that the training is at the instance of the Inspector General of Police in collaboration with the state government.
The participants drawn from police formations across the states. Some are undergoing training on crime prevention and control, police civil relationship and arrest enforcement, while others were tutored on weapon handling.
Elephant what? We call it elephant. Wow.
The command says Nigeria desires a pool of skilled and talented officers cutting across all strata of the Nigerian police to meet up with modern-day community policing to develop a force.
When we go about this in a regular basis, as the Commissioner of Police has deemed fit, you will find out that the issue of accidental discharge will be a thing of the past. When they go back, they will be able to guard their stations and also respond to distress calls made by members of the public.
It is expected that the officers will be more effective while performing their duties. In Benin, Goodluck Inaini, NT News.
And time now for sports up, and Olumide Eguntola is our guide.
Quarter finalists are expected to emerge Friday at the ongoing ITTF African Cup in Nairobi, Kenya. 29 men and 23 women started the battle at the group stage. All eyes are on the continent's best players in the men's category, Haruna Quadri of Nigeria and Egypt's Omar Azar, as the draw had clashed in the last 6 finals of the tournament. In football, the Golden Eaglet of Nigeria are perfecting strategy ahead of Saturday's last group game against their counterparts from South Africa at the ongoing Under-17 Nations Cup. The Nduka Igbade third side needs the maximum point at stake to advance into the quarter-final stage of the competition.
I'm actually looking forward to the final group game against the South African Under-17 boys. Actually, I think they just need just a draw to qualify, probably a goalless draw.
I feel that we should still at least manage to beat South Africa. But South Africa these days, they have woken up, their football is developing. We even the Nigerian among them.
In the English Premier League, Manchester City will this weekend attempt to extend its lead point on the table when the team takes on Leeds United. Also, Chelsea under coach Frank Lampard will be aiming for his first win in an away date with Bournemouth, while Liverpool will entertain Brentford among other matches. With sports update, Olunde Gutola, NT News.
And that's it on Panorama. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant day.